I am just going to respond to this query or this question that you've got. It is quite dicey, to be honest. My mind tells me that you're working for probably a not established business, probably like a startup. It's just my best guess, like a startup or something along those lines. So it's quite dicey, to be fair. The first thing is it shows that that organization doesn't have proper systems and processes in place, which is a gap. It is a gap because you should always try to document your agreements with people. And because obviously documentation tops everything. So if they're not documenting your offer, now when it comes to your job description, and I am for a startup or for a random business, I am personally not too worried, but for your contract, I am very worried. Now, I am not a lawyer, so and I don't have so much knowledge about law, but from experience and from bits and pieces, I know that something doesn't have to be written for it to be binding contractually. So even though they've used word of mouth to tell you a couple of stuff, it is still binding. But there are some, but it is still, it does not reduce the level of worry, especially given the fact that they move you around and you are quite confused because you don't know exactly what is expected of you and all of that. So, first, I would say that there is a gap there, and it would be unfair to say you should fill the gap. But in this instance, I can give you a couple of advice. So, number one is that you can draft your contract. And it is very key because there is a gap that nobody there is feeling. Maybe there is no HR, maybe it's just you and this said boss. And there are typical informal setup like that. Like it's a company, it's a business, but the the processes are not there yet and it's understandable. Given a small business owner myself, so it's understandable, but you can draft up your contract and templates are out there, so easy, so free. You can use AI to draft up a simple contract, put your job title, put your start date, put the salary you're currently earning, put it on the face of an email, and just say, look, this is a draft of what I think is a proper contract that I need everybody to sign, then you, based on what you're currently doing, that you enjoy, especially it's a gap as well. It's a gap again. So you can feed it and fill it with what you think is best. So I think can go the lines of I don't feel comfortable working without a contract, and I don't feel comfortable that the expectations of me are not properly detailed out. So you go find out, okay, so if for instance you're a marketer, or for instance you are a social media manager, or you're a project manager, or whatever it is that you are, you will find, go do a little research. ChatGPT, no ChatGPT, whatever. Do a bit of research. What is typically required of this role? Align it with what you're currently doing. List them out as your description. Put it in that same set contract. I tell you, boss, to review it and see if they want to add anything. They want to review anything. Another thing you can say to make it sail through is, look, don't I don't feel limited to the confines of what I have written. I have not just written it because I want to say I'm not going to do anything else or whatever, but this is to be a guide and to just make everybody feel more comfortable in this work dynamic. So write it up as a draft, tell them to read it, proofread it, see if it makes sense to them, then send it back to you, can update, see if you both agree, and then it can then be officially sent to you by your boss. So your boss can send it to you by an email address and you can respond to say, I agree with this. Do it. Okay? Do it. And don't be lazy about it because this will, there is the probability that there is this high chance they will keep giving you roles that, number one, don't fit the pay that they're paying you, and they'll keep giving you roles that you have to be juggling things. It is overwhelming for you. Now, if they give you two, three roles to play, but you don't Even though, in fact, let me tell you, there are plenty dynamic, especially if you're working with a startup, right? You could be doing 10 things and it looks like it's 10 people's roles or 5 people's roles, right? But because it's a startup, there is no defined anything, and probably there is no volume as well. So it may be that you do bit of this, bit of this, bit of this, bit of that. Cumulatively, you may not feel overwhelmed because you're just doing plenty things because there is no volume. Or you could also be overwhelmed. It depends. But depending on the case, if you do write up a draft up something, send to them, let them review and send it back to you, it then sort of gives you a control over what you're responsible for. You also need to draw boundary. You have to draw a boundary. So especially when you get overwhelmed. Again, like I said, you may be doing the work of 5 people, but there is no volume. And if there is no volume, you can do bit of this, bit of this, bit of that. So as long as what you're doing is equivalent to the pay you're getting, I am I personally I don't care about roles or because at the end of the day, you are the owner of your career. When you get exposed to many things, and you're not going to be there for a long time. As long as you're on this group, that place, you're not going to be there for a long time. You're definitely going to move. But before you make your move, learn as much as you can learn there. Okay? That is the whole essence of me trying to say, even if it looks like you're doing the work of 5 people, if there is no volume and the bits and pieces you're doing, you can still get them done within your normal working hours, then I would say don't challenge it too much because I would rather you do five work of 5 people with no volume than just work of one person and you have nothing to do. So focus on what you're learning as well. But I would say to you that I'm very convinced that that is not a place you should stay for a long, long time. I'm I'm very convinced about that because if there are no systems and processes and you except you step up to draw them out, then you may not be benefiting from more technical stuff because you will still be fighting the process instead of paying attention to the things you need to pay attention to. We will talk later during the normal mentoring curriculum here about thinking about moving out of your current workplace, the things you need to consider, and all of that. We'll still talk about all of those things. But in terms of immediate short term plan that I think you should do is draft up your own contract and your own job description, send it to them, see if they agree. And now, if you send it once, they don't respond, then send one and say you think that this is a good contract that you would agree to based on the realities of the work that you're currently doing, and you will expect them to say yes, they agree, or no, they don't. Like it's as simple as that. But that would be my thought for you in terms of what you can do in the short run.